The response to the 10 tragic deaths, the changeover from the laws of nature to a more mystical approach in Judaism. In the original Shir, first response, Shir to the tragedies I mentioned, that we need to resurrect the laws of nature. I'd like to elaborate on that point a little bit. What does that mean? So I said that in the Rishonim's era, the 10, 11, 12, 13, 1400s, the Rishonim pretty much across the board spoke about something called the laws of nature. There's Tevin, there's an interaction between man and nature, and the higher that we reach, the higher spiritual levels that we reach, the closer we are to God, the closer He is to us, and the more Hashgacha Providence there is. We have to earn God's Hashgacha. It's not a given. That's how the Rishonim looked at things. And then somewhere along the way, there was a transformation. So people are not familiar. What is this all about? So as the mystical school developed in 1700s, there were changes where every single thing that happens is constant divine will. And when I mentioned the first year, this falls off, we'd say that's the laws of nature. It's gravity, as it falls down, there's a change. There's no such thing as the laws of nature. No gravity. It's God saying, keep up, fall down. It's a different headspace totally. How did this happen exactly is a good question. There's a fascinating book called Darkei Hashgacha, The Paths of Providence, and it goes over the Rishonim, the medieval philosophy, and what occurred there. And then in chapter 6, setting the stage for the 18th century revolution. And it gives over different reasons why there was a changeover from the philosophical era to the laws of nature. During the 16th century, Tzfat was filled up, the Moshe Cordovera, the Arizal, the Radvaz, and there was a change there. And the Arizal certainly had a powerful impact on the Jews in Tzfat and Yerushalayim and Turkey and other places as well. The massacres, the Shmonesky massacres in the 1600s also caused a change that something's going on with the Jewish people, and maybe there needs to be a messianic era now, and that caused also changes in how we look at philosophy and rationalism and divine providence and laws of nature. Haskalah opened up people to philosophy, and that you think, well, maybe they'll embrace philosophy more, yeah, but their ramifications were horrible. People left Judaism, so people circled the wagons. And other factors as well, the book says, to cause the changeover from a system where people look at the laws of nature and we have to work with the laws of nature, and yes, there's divine providence, and yes, Hashem is behind the laws of nature, but there is a laws of nature. And there was a slow transformation from that. There's a fascinating book called Unorthodox Judaism. Unorthodox Judaism, where on page 31 he talks about the philosophical era, and then talks about Rav Dessler, and he contrasts the two. And he says Rav Dessler made some very dramatic changes from that philosophical era of 11, 12, 13, 1400s to the 20th century. And he said that Rav Dessler's impact on the world, the Haredi world especially, is huge. So there's many, many factors that have gone into the changeover. But there is a changeover. We should understand it. And that's why in the first year I mentioned that I think a little review of that philosophical era made of Bachaya and the Ramban and Rambam and Sadiq Kuzari and the Radak and Ralbach. It could be very helpful in terms of reappreciating God laws of nature, both from a standpoint of Chachma, but also appreciating from a practical standpoint as well. We're understanding there's a law of causality. We have to interact with those laws of causality, with our health, with our parnasa and sustenance, etc., etc., etc. And of course, always ask Hashem to bless our endeavors. But I think it's an interesting time to revisit that school of thought. Shalom.